minutes ago. I normally don't film this early in the day, but when I do pop up Este Hora, we're doing a wear test. So I finally have my Natasha Denona concealers that I ordered, and I might not have the energy to show it, but I am so excited about this release because, and I talked about this like in a what I want to see from Natasha Denona video that I filmed last year. We all know Natasha Denona has perfected her powder formulation, her eyeshadow palettes, her cheek palettes. She can put together a good powder product, but everything else in her line, in terms of complexion mostly, like, has not been good. So I said one of the things that I wanted her to focus on would be completely revamping the rest of her makeup line, because the rest of her makeup line didn't match up with all of the popular stuff that she was launching, even in terms of like packaging, marketing. It all just didn't seem as worth it. And I was really excited about this new concealer that she launched, because listen up. The last concealer that she launched I tried, this is gonna be mean, but honestly, it was one of the worst concealers I'd ever tried. It was so drying. It just was not a nice concealer. So I'm hoping that this is gonna redeem her, because this sounds like something I'm really interested in. So this is the Natasha Denona HY-Glam Brightening and Hydrating Medium to Full Coverage Crease-Proof Serum Concealer. Put the word serum in and I'm sold. That's one of those pop marketing words that gets me. So this is $30. And you can buy this on Natasha Denona's website, Beautylish, Sephora, etc., etc. And okay, so first of all, buying the shades was a bit difficult. This is a range. How many shades are there? 56. And they have correctors, and then they have undertones of neutral, rosy, peach, and yellow. And then overtones, you know, fair, light, medium, tan, dark, deep. With this many shades, for me as a consumer, I'm like, all right, it's a bit much. But I mean, they do have a quiz, which is supposed to help you online. I just kind of guessed. So that's that. And then like a lot of other concealers right now, they say that this is skincare infused, so it's going to help reduce puffiness and dark circles, fine lines, and all of that over time if you continuously wear it. Medium buildable coverage, lightweight and natural finish, though on the Sephora website it says a matte finish, and on a video I just watched by Natasha Denona, she said it was like a luminous matte finish, which seems like a cop-out because what is a luminous matte finish? 19-hour wear, crease-proof, and talc-free. I just had to get those details in there. I feel like that was hard for me to get out of my mouth. But let me show you what I ended up picking up. So I did pick up one of the correctors, and the correctors come in an orange box. So I got corrector 2, which looks pretty skin tone. It has the orange top. Let's see, made in Italy, 7 milliliters, 12-month shelf life. So that's what that looks like. And then I got 2 shades of concealers, and like I said, the shade ranges for me were confusing. I was like, you know, I have a neutral undertone, but I like my concealer sometimes to be a little yellow or pink to help with color correcting, so that's what got me. So I got the shades P3 and 5, so neutral 5, and I think this is pink 3. I don't remember what made me want that shade. So P3 they describe as a light peach. Okay. Now the packaging of these is really pretty. I like the nude packaging. These are also made in Italy, 12-month shelf life. So let's see. Now Natasha also says you can use this for spot concealing, under eye correcting, but also brightening and contouring if you pick up the correct shades, which I really like that idea. I like them advertising that versatility, but it's a little bit difficult to choose the shades for that, considering there are so many undertones and overtones and all of that, but that is an option if you can figure it out. Let's get started. I don't have anything on my face besides my moisturizer and my sunscreen, and I want to feel these out to decide if I want to put any foundation on today. So we're going to start off with the corrector. So let's take a look at the applicator here. So you can see the color better of this. So this has a pointed tip, which you can use for more precise areas like spot concealer, and then a hollow reservoir, which is supposed to grip the ideal amount of product. I'm reading this directly off of this Sephora website. I'm not smart enough to figure that out by myself. And then a flat side for applying under the eyes and large areas of the face for fuller coverage. The lighting is down. You can see every spot on my face, but I want you to see the color of this corrector as well as if we can get the same amount of coverage as the concealer. So I'm just gonna put some right here. It's a pretty light peach shade, C2. And then I'm just gonna put it right in this area and around here, though this peach shade is mostly going to be for my blue spots, but we'll take advantage today and see what we think. And I'm only gonna put this on one side of my face just to see if it makes a difference. Okay. Now this shade is actually really, really nice. It's nice and brightening, which I like. I wish it had more peachiness to it, but maybe I should have just gotten the next shade up, because it's definitely more brightening than peachy. But honestly, like, I feel like that's a good concealer color in general for me. It doesn't scream corrector color to me, but if you have more of a fair complexion, especially if you don't have any peach in your skin tone, it might look more correctory, but it kind of is looking like a just concealer to me. But here it is with it done and with it not done. What do we think? I think it did a phenomenal job of covering up the blue. If I was going for a super natural makeup look, this blended seamlessly into the skin. Now keep in mind, I did apply very sparingly. You can see there is a slight luminous finish, but it felt like a little dry blending out. It didn't blend out like butter, but it looks quite luminous. I'm gonna let that sit in. I think that looks really great. I like how that's sitting on the skin, not me forgetting my acne spot. Whatever's left over, I'm just gonna put over here. I like this color, honestly, as a regular concealer shade. So I think I might have bought like 3 of the same shade. Okay, so let's mess around with the other shades that I got. So we'll do N5. I want to compare it on my hand to see what I want to use. So this is N5. See, this is also what I was unsure about. So I do have a neutral undertone, but the neutral undertones on the website, they looked kind of gray, and this is looking kind of gray on my hand. And then this is P3. So because I thought the neutral undertones looked gray, I wanted to use a kind of a different undertone. Like, this is more color correctory for me. So for this shade P3, I like this a little bit more because you see it does have that peachy undertone, which will work great as concealing and correcting at the same time. And then just for comparison's sake, here's C2, which now when it's right next to these, you can see how much more yellow P3 looks. This one is actually more peachy, so very interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with P3. I think I just like the shade better. And I'm going pretty minimally. I'm trying to anyways. I'm gonna get the red spots. So this shade is better for getting red spots of the skin. So I'm also just gonna put it over my cheeks and my nose where I have the redness. And we're gonna try doing a sponge blend with this. Okay, it's blending out more liquidy and hydrating than the first time because I think I used the brush and it was just a little bit of product. A little bit's going a long way with this. It's spreading pretty far. And now that I'm blending this out, you can see it looks a little yellow on my skin tone. So this one isn't like a seamless shade for me, not the best. I'd honestly think the corrector shade would blend in better with my skin tone. This one definitely has some yellow to it, which is good in terms of color correcting the red in my face, but now that I have more of the concealer over a larger surface area of my face, it does look quite hydrating. You know how they call it like a serum concealer? I can see that, and it is blending in more hydrated than I thought. Ooh, honestly, that looks really good. The consistency is nice. I feel like it doesn't look too heavy. Then I'm gonna play around with N5 to see what this looks like on my skin. I'm gonna put just a little bit here. And then this is supposed to go over the corrector. So you see how this blends in much better because it is more of a neutral undertone. I just didn't know if I wanted a neutral undertone for my concealer. But I'm going to start it off here on the under eyes. And I didn't come in with intentions of this, but I like how hydrating this is looking on my skin. So I think I'm just going to go for it as my foundation today to really test the waters on this, because if you were to use this to brighten and contour as well, it would be all over your face. So I'm going to use my sponge to go over the color corrector, though I didn't really need anything over my color corrector. I'm going to start blending this out. I do wish, looking back, if I could reorder knowing what I know now, I'd purchase a lighter shade for some brightening and a deeper shade for contouring, but this is blending out very, very nice. The coverage is definitely medium but buildable, but it doesn't feel that way. I just don't feel like you need to build it up because you do get a lot of coverage if you apply enough the first time around. You can be very minimal if you just apply a dot with your coverage, but if you put a little bit of thickness in that layer, immediately the coverage is nice. So I didn't apply too much all over my face. You know, I just applied it in certain areas. I didn't completely cover my face with a bunch of concealer, but now that it's blended out, I like how this spreads. It really is less is more kind of situation, or as Natasha said, a little goes a long way with this. I do agree with that. You can see now that I have it everywhere, you can't see too much for how little I applied, right? You can see my freckles in this area. I barely applied any, but it's fully covered. I feel like my face looks really hydrated, and I do have a good amount of coverage on. I am so happy with this. So for the rest of my makeup, I'm keeping it pretty minimal today because Jose and I are heading out to the Spanish embassy to pick up his passport and grab some breakfast. But this looks beautiful, so much better. Already like miles better than the first concealer that I tried from Natasha Denona. So I'm going to fast forward through the complexion products so you can see what's going over top. I mean, who knew this would end up being like a whole foundation wear test? We're going to mostly focus on this area down here, but we'll do the other parts too. Quick look today, I'll have everything that I'm wearing on my face in the description box, but here's a close-up of how it looks, and oh my gosh, you guys, I think this concealer is awesome so far. We're gonna have to see how it wears, but on the under eyes, they look really soft. Now I use my Pat McGrath powder, which is super blurring, so that's kind of helping them look really soft, but I wanted to wear this with a powder that I really liked to give it a fair chance. I pretty much have the concealer all over my face, and I think my skin looks great. So crossing my fingers, here's to hoping that this will hold up over time. It doesn't feel too heavy, doesn't look too heavy, doesn't get too oily, doesn't get too creasy. So I am going to head out, and I will update you in a few hours to see how everything's looking. But so far, first impressions, initial application, loving it, and miles better than the first concealer. Alright, so I wanted to give you guys the 4-hour update. I was out and about in the heat, had sunglasses on, so you can see that I do have my sunglass marks. I'll blend those out. But the under eyes, I think they're looking really good. I know if you go really close, my hands are shaking from my coffee, by the way, so sorry if you're getting sick. If you look really close, I guess you can see that I did go into the lines a little bit, but it's nothing crazy. It's when it starts to happen out here that I get suspicious of concealer, because fine lines are natural. Your face has folds when you smile. But for the most part, you know, like this, I think it looks really good, really smooth. And remember, it is all over my face today, and I think my face looks great. You can see there's a little bit of creasing happening. I'm not mad for 4 hours in, plus I was outside in the humidity, so I will continue to keep you guys updated after a few more hours. Alright guys, it's officially been 9 hours since I applied the concealers this morning, and here's how we're looking. Keep in mind, I was out and about today, and I think everything looks really good. I think overall for 9 hours, my skin looks very, very nice. In terms of wear on the under eyes, I would say it didn't crawl into the wrinkles too much. I've had concealers that look so rough at this point. It looks a little bit dry, but nothing bothersome. Like, I feel perfectly comfortable going out into the real world looking like this for 9 hours. Somewhat impressive, honestly. It's starting to break up kind of around the nose area right here, but this isn't a foundation. But overall, I mean, I think the product looks really great. 9 hours later, I'm starting to see a little heaviness and a little dryness, but overall, this is a first impression, so I definitely need to keep you updated. But this is a huge improvement from the first concealer. I really like it. I like the consistency. I like the level of coverage. I think picking a color can be confusing. There's a lot of colors. I don't know if that many colors were necessary. I think a nice big range is great, but you also don't want it to be confusing for the consumer. I know as a makeup artist, I didn't need that many shades in my kit. I would mix and match, so I guess that might be why. But anyways, kind of confusing to pick out a color, but other than that, love the consistency, love the way it wore, love the versatility in this product. It blended out beautifully, so I will be continuing to test this concealer, but I have a good feeling about it on first impressions. It's not one of those first impressions where I'm like, meh, it's good, or I don't feel like I really don't like it. Like, first impressions, I'm really, really happy. I think this is going to end up being a concealer that I really, really like, but I'll keep you updated, so make sure you guys stay subscribed to my channel, because I will be featuring these concealers in upcoming speed reviews as I continue to test this more with more products, more powders, different styles of makeup, and all of that to give you my updated final thoughts. But thanks for hanging out with me today. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.